Now, in the third of our series looking at the major parties' policies on communities and local government, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the Liberal Democrat Richard Kemp. Richard, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
A pleasure.
Now, Richard, if the Liberal Democrats were to be elected, what would be the major planks of your policy on communities and local government?
Well, there are three elements. First of all, you've got to deal with the finance, and it's no localism if someone in Whitehall holds the purse strings. So we want to give business rates back to local councils, and we want to pilot local income tax. That's our end game, but we know it's complicated, so we want to pilot it in the lifetime of the next Parliament. The second is you've got to place local government in the context of everything else. And our manifesto has a massive range of proposals for getting rid of quangos, layers of government, and sending power back to local authorities and localities. Only if you do those two things can you talk about localism sensibly. So we have all sorts of ideas in our manifesto about engaging to local people, putting more control into local hands and local people's hands. So power will devolve to councils and through councils to local communities. So there's a whole mass of proposals which involve a new concordat between central and local government which rewrites the structure of government in this country.
Now, Richard, we've been asking our viewers for their questions, and I have a few here I'd like to put to you. Now, the first is this. People are very concerned about cuts, not just about cuts in their pay, but particularly cuts in public sector pensions. What would you have to say about that?
Well, they should be worried, but not as worried in local government as any other part of the public sector. Local government pensions are at least partly funded, anything between 65 and 80% depending on which scheme they're in. But we do have to look at pensions, but it's not only government pensions we need to look at the state pension, we need to look at private pensions, because the big question that's been left unanswered is how do we pay for the increasing number of pensioners in our society? So I think everyone should be worried about their pensions, and that's why we're suggesting there needs to be an all-party agreement on the funding of the third age, and that will include pensions and that will include local authority pensions.
Now, carrying on the theme of funding and who's going to pay for things, let's look at personalisation. We're being asked now, do the Liberal Democrats support personalisation, and if they do, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, first of all, there's going to be no more money. So anything that's used on personalisation or any promise that's made by any politician has to come out of existing budgets. We do believe in personalisation because it's part of the localisation issue. We don't think you should sit in Whitehall or the Town Hall and dictate how communities and individuals live their lives. So personalisation, in which people take some responsibility for their own lives, make their own choices, within reason of course, we think is very important. But to suggest that that will unlock massive new funds in the next 5 years, I think is unlikely.
Now, Richard, the final question from our viewers is on unitaries. Do the Liberal Democrats support unitaries, and do you want to continue the campaign to have more of them?
No, we don't. We believe in doing things at the right level, and we believe that that should be a local decision. What's right for Liverpool, which is of course a unitary, isn't the same necessarily as what's right for Cumbria. There's a ward in Cumbria that's bigger than the whole of Liverpool, for example, in terms of geography. So what you've got to do is to work out what you do at very local level, village or part of Liverpool, what you do at a district level, which might be a district council, or 20% of Liverpool, because we have district committees here, what you do at city level, and crucially, what you do at conurbation or county level, because that's where some of the key decisions are made now, not just in Liverpool, but across Merseyside as a whole.
Richard, thank you very much indeed for joining us today on the Local Government Channel.
A pleasure.